That was not a bear. Drone footage exposes a colossal Bigfoot stalking deep inside a forbidden forest at dawn.
What the camera captured should not exist. A towering human-shaped mass moving with impossible silence, shoulders wider than reason, eyes flashing like embers through the trees. This isn't shaky myth or campfire nonsense. This is cold aerial footage, hovering above a national forest where something massive has learned to stay hidden. It walks upright. It reacts with awareness. It vanishes with intent. Every frame screams intelligence, restraint, and a terrifying question. How long has it been there, watching us, while we told ourselves it was just a bear? This is not discovery. This is exposure. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Before we dive in, like, comment, and subscribe to Mystery Footage Uncovered.
Near midnight in dense woodland, a stationary trail camera switches automatically from standard video to infrared. Almost immediately, a large heat signature enters the detection zone. Thermal bloom fills the frame. Through branches, two red glowing eyes scan the area without sound. The camera's microphone captures slow, heavy breathing that doesn't match known wildlife patterns. The thermal outline reveals extreme shoulder width and elongated forearms, hands clenched and motionless. Thick hair disrupts the heat profile, blurring the body's edges. A low vocalization follows, part human cadence, part bear-like resonance, layered with a hiss reminiscent of wind through pine needles. Later witnesses describe a powerful odor, wet animal mixed with rotting wood. This suggests either specialized scent glands or microbial activity within dense fur. The creature remains still far longer than necessary. If it was waiting, the question becomes, for what or for whom? One dry afternoon in the Rocky Mountains, a forestry truck navigates a narrow dirt road, its dashboard camera rolling as standard procedure. Ahead, motion interrupts the stillness of the trail. A dark figure strides across the road in full view. Dust erupts around legs thicker than fence posts, momentarily backlit by sunlight. The engine noise spikes as the driver reacts, but the figure is already gone. Frame-by-frame analysis suggests a height of roughly 2.2 meters. Long, dense hair hangs in dark clumps, as if perpetually damp from forest shade. Beneath it, gray-brown skin briefly catches the light. The arms swing low, hands nearly grazing the knees. The movement is explosively fast, yet unnervingly controlled, combining the mass of a bison with the precision of a stalking cat. Such mechanics imply anatomy built for sudden ambush rather than prolonged pursuit. Its open crossing suggests confidence, not chance. At dusk, a handheld phone records a figure standing on the shoulder of a mountain highway as traffic slows. The image is distant but unmistakable. A massive silhouette partially blocks the lane. Arms hang low. There is no visible panic, no sudden movement. The subject stands roughly 2.6 meters tall. Fur is dark and dense. Shoulders are extreme. Feet are planted wide, suggesting stability rather than hesitation. Even in fading daylight, the eyes reflect faintly. The refusal to flee mirrors historical skookum accounts describing brief appearances along travel routes. Yet there is no display, no attempt to intimidate, only presence. Researchers suggest the stance resembles territorial assertion rather than curiosity. The footage leaves an uncomfortable inversion of perspective. When something that large chooses not to move, it is often humans who decide to yield first. At night on a forest road, a dash camera records a vehicle slowing as headlights reveal an unexpected obstruction ahead. A large figure crouches in the beam. Massive hands lift rocks and place them deliberately across the roadway. Each stone is aligned with care. The engine idles. When standing, the figure appears roughly 2.4 meters tall. Shoulders are immense. Fur looks dark and wet. Fingers are thick yet precise, capable of controlled placement rather than brute action. The behavior stands out for what it is not. The stones are not thrown. The figure does not flee. Researchers suggest the arrangement resembles a marker or boundary rather than an attempt to block passage permanently. It feels symbolic, an intentional pause imposed on the driver. If the goal was to make the car stop, the unsettling question remains: what outcome was expected next? Just before dawn, a high-powered trail camera captures its final clip in a frozen forest clearing. Frost coats the ground, and the air is still. A massive shape kneels low. Something small is lifted gently in both hands. The camera cuts moments later. Even crouched, the subject exceeds 2 meters in height. Shoulders are wide, arms long, fur dense. Under infrared, the eyes reflect a muted red-orange. The handling motion is slow and precise, lacking any sign of feeding or aggression. Researchers compare the behavior to orang pendek field notes describing careful object inspection, though here scaled to a size that transforms gentleness into something deeply unsettling. The footage reframes the narrative entirely. If a creature capable of such mass can choose restraint and care, then violence is not its default. The lingering question is not what it can do, but what it chooses most of the time. Late at night, on an unlit service road, a handheld phone camera begins recording as the operator whispers in disbelief. The darkness ahead suddenly gives shape to something moving forward. A tall, pale-toned figure emerges into view. Bare feet strike the dirt without sound. The image shakes, but the movement remains clear and steady. The subject is estimated between 2.2 and 2.6 meters tall. Shoulders are massively wide, arms hanging past the knees. Sparse, light-colored hair clings to thick limbs, exposing grayish skin beneath. The gait is heavy yet fluid, likened by analysts to a loaded freight train gliding downhill rather than stomping forward. Biomechanical review suggests unusual muscle density and joint efficiency inconsistent with costumes or known primates. The footage raises another mystery beyond anatomy. If the clip was genuine, why did it remain unseen for years before surfacing? And who decided when it was safe to release? On a fog-heavy morning in rural Wisconsin, a phone camera peers through trees as something large interacts with its surroundings rather than fleeing from them. A massive figure grips a long tree branch. The wood bends visibly under pressure, flexing as if it were lightweight. There is no frantic movement, no sign of alarm. Standing close to 2.5 meters tall, the figure's shoulders are nearly 60% wider than a human's. Dark fur hangs rain-matted against the body. Hands appear large and highly dexterous, with visible knuckle flexion suggesting grip strength far beyond human limits. The branch is dragged deliberately, not swung or discarded. Researchers interpret this as environmental manipulation, possibly signaling or marking rather than play. Similar behavior appears in older Skookum records describing forest giants altering paths with wood and stone. If concealment is easy, the decision to leave signs instead invites a deeper question about intent. At dawn in early summer, a stabilized survey drone sweeps over a remote mountain ridge, tasked with documenting trail erosion. The light is clear, the conditions ideal, until something unexpected crests the ridgeline and walks calmly into view. The figure is tall and unmistakably upright. Each step lands with weight, yet produces no visible disturbance. The daylight removes ambiguity, making disbelief the most common initial reaction among viewers. Its proportions defy known species. Arms extending past the knees, a thick barrel-like torso, and shoulders broader than any recorded primate. The movement feels deliberate, almost predatory, not startled or defensive. Some researchers reluctantly note parallels to Algonquian Wendigo descriptions, not as myth, but as historical attempts to describe something real. Faint red eyeshine appears despite the sun, hinting at nocturnal adaptation. For a creature of such size, the choice of silence over dominance is perhaps the most troubling detail of all. At dusk on a forest access road, an amateur researcher walks with an action camera strapped to his chest. After lowering his arm, the camera continues recording, unnoticed for several seconds. Suddenly, a massive face fills the frame from only inches away. Orange eyes reflect directly into the lens. The operator gasps, frozen in place. The head appears larger than any known primates, with a heavy brow ridge, flat wide nose, and dark, matted hair. Beneath it, earthy brown-gray skin shows through. Shoulders rise beyond the frame, and impossibly long arms hang motionless at its sides. There is no aggression, no threat display, no retreat, only stillness. Researchers suggest this behavior indicates assessment rather than curiosity. The moment feeds theories of a relict intelligence surviving alongside humans by understanding when not to be seen. When it stared into the camera, it may not have been surprised. It may have been measuring us. In early fall, just before sunset, a long-lens wildlife camera monitors the edge of a harvested field bordering dense pine forest. The landowner later reviews the footage and notices movement where none should be. 3 figures are visible from behind, moving steadily away from the camera. 1 is enormous. 2 are clearly smaller. As they pass, tall grass bends flat beneath their weight. The largest stands close to 3 meters tall, shoulders more than 50% wider than a human's, arms extending past the knees. Dark, rain-matted hair conceals gray-brown skin beneath. The smaller figures mirror its stride almost perfectly, suggesting learned movement rather than instinct alone. The adult positions itself subtly between the camera and the juveniles, moving with the mass of a bison but the control of a stalking cat. There is no panic, no rush, only departure. If it sensed observation, the calm retreat suggests confidence, not fear. During a summer hike in a remote woodland reserve, a group of hikers pauses after hearing repeated knocking sounds echo through the trees. One raises a phone and zooms toward a nearby rock outcrop. 2 dark shapes are crouched behind the stone. Slowly, heads rise into view. Long arms brace against the rock, then everything freezes. Their outlines reveal compact torsos and elongated limbs, covered in thick, dark fur clumped as if damp. For a brief moment, eyes reflect orange-red light before vanishing as the figures sink back into stillness. There is no scramble, no alarm. The behavior disturbs researchers more than sudden flight would have. The deliberate concealment mirrors old skookum accounts, beings said to watch silently from cover. The footage suggests observation was the goal, not escape. If avoiding humans is their greatest strength, the decision to watch at all raises a far more unsettling question. Just after sunrise, as mist lifts inside a protected forest corridor, a motion-triggered research camera activates. Sunlight filters through old-growth trunks, cutting narrow bands of gold across the forest floor. A lone, towering silhouette moves upslope. Long hair hangs heavy and wet, catching the light as it passes between trees. As the figure advances, ambient forest noise abruptly fades. Estimates place its height between 2.3 and 2.8 meters. The shoulders extend far beyond human proportions, arms reaching past the knees. Dark fur appears clumped as if soaked overnight, while gray-brown skin shows at the hands and face. Each step lands with the weight of a buffalo, yet with the careful placement of a predator navigating uneven ground. The gait suggests dense skeletal structure paired with refined balance, built for forest terrain rather than speed alone. The most unsettling detail is not how it moved, but how openly it did so in daylight, as if nothing nearby posed a threat. In the final weeks of autumn 2021, a privately operated helicopter flies low above a conifer-filled valley in the Pacific Northwest. A side-mounted camera records continuously as the pilot speaks into his headset, unaware of what is about to enter the frame. From the tree line, an enormous figure steps into view. The aircraft's vibration rattles the glass, yet the form remains unmistakable, arms swinging well below the knees, shoulders so wide they dominate the image. The moment is brief, but enough to unsettle everyone who later reviewed the footage. Analysts estimate the biped stands between 2.4 and 3 meters tall, with shoulders nearly 50% broader than a human's. Its movement downhill appears heavy yet elastic, as if supported by shock-absorbing joints and powerful tendons. Dark, rain-matted hair conceals gray-brown skin, while a flash of orange eyeshine reflects directly toward the helicopter. The timing raises an unsettling question. Did it respond to sound, or did it sense observation from above? On a fog-heavy morning, a dash-mounted camera records a rural access road as a vehicle slows unexpectedly. Visibility is poor until movement appears directly ahead. A tall figure steps onto the asphalt. Moments later, 2 smaller shapes follow. The vehicle idles as the crossing unfolds in silence. The adult reaches at least 2.5 meters in height, shoulders broad like an industrial wall. Thick, dark hair hangs low, arms swinging near the knees. The juveniles move more awkwardly, emitting faint sounds described as somewhere between human breathing and animal grunts. What stands out is the lack of urgency. The crossing appears measured, almost rehearsed, suggesting memory and spatial awareness. Researchers note this aligns with a species capable of navigating human infrastructure without detection. The footage implies something ancient learning our roads, and choosing when to use them. Shortly after midnight, a stationary night vision camera activates in a forest clearing after repeated motion alerts. The screen glows green as shapes emerge from the darkness. One heat-bright figure enters the frame, followed by two smaller thermal signatures. The movement is smooth, silent, and deliberate. Eyes flare red, then dim. The adult's thermal mass indicates extreme muscle density beneath heavy fur. Long forearms swing in a steady rhythm. The juveniles maintain precise spacing behind it, similar to wolves following a lead. The group moves quickly, yet produces no visible disturbance. Researchers compare the structure to orang-pendek folklore only in form, an adult guiding young, but the scale is vastly larger and far more imposing. Everything about the scene suggests adaptation to darkness rather than daylight. If this procession was routine, it implies countless similar movements pass unseen every night. Late one evening, a night vision clip briefly airs during a regional television broadcast. Viewers notice it immediately. Hours later, it is gone, removed without explanation. The clip shows a massive figure approaching the camera. As it draws closer, facial features become clear. The image cuts shortly after. The subject displays heavy brow ridges, a flat, wide nose, and eyes reflecting pale orange. Thick, matted hair frames an earthy gray face. Arms hang past the knees, and the posture conveys neither aggression nor fear. It simply advances, calm and unhurried. The sudden removal of the footage fuels speculation among researchers. Some evidence, they argue, may cross a boundary, not of credibility, but of authorization. The question shifts from whether such beings exist to who decides which realities are allowed to remain visible. At 2:14 a.m., a trail camera on private land activates near a bait pile set out for deer. Infrared illuminates the scene as movement enters the frame. Large hands reach for scattered corn. A towering form crouches low, filling the image. Slow breathing dominates the audio. When the figure rises, it stands roughly 2.3 meters tall. The shoulders are broad, the hair thick and dark. Fingers appear long and surprisingly precise as it selects food carefully rather than grabbing blindly. The camera is ignored entirely. There is no urgency, no aggression. The interaction feels observational, almost contemplative. Researchers suggest this behavior reflects curiosity rather than hunger, an intelligence studying human patterns through what we leave behind. If it accepts our offerings without fear, the implication is unsettling. It may have always been closer than we ever realized. At exactly 12:46 a.m., a suburban security camera switches to infrared as movement enters a fenced backyard behind a quiet home. The timestamp glows steadily in the corner of the frame. A broad figure approaches. Feet land flat and wide, each step clearly visible. The image freezes briefly as motion detection struggles to process the scale. The body mass is extreme. Torso thick and heavily muscled, shoulders spreading wider than the fence line itself. Arms swing past the knees. Under infrared, the eyes glow pale red. Sparse facial hair reveals gray, leathery-looking skin beneath. The posture stands out, a slight forward lean, slow, and deliberate cadence. It resembles an apex animal, fully aware it is not prey. Investigators suggest this implies intentional movement through human spaces rather than accidental wandering. If it entered a backyard so calmly, the question becomes how many others it passed by unnoticed. In a short indoor clip recorded during a staged animal response test, an unexpected presence appears. Two dogs react violently as something fills the doorway ahead. A towering, fur-covered shape leans forward into view. Large hands rise, fingers spread, captured at close range. The dogs immediately retreat. Even hunched, the figure exceeds 2.4 meters in height. Shoulders are massive. Hair is thick and dark. The face shows a heavy brow ridge, flat nose, and reflective eyes catching the light. What unsettles researchers most is the restraint. There is no strike, no lunge. The figure pauses, observing the animals rather than reacting. This controlled response suggests cognitive assessment rather than instinctive aggression, an intelligence capable of restraint even in confined, unfamiliar environments. If it chose not to attack, investigators are left wondering what internal calculation guided that decision. Shortly after midnight, a backyard floodlight activates, illuminating sudden movement where no person should be. A camera begins recording immediately. A huge figure lands on a trampoline, rebounds once, and steadies itself. The frame shakes violently as metal supports flex under the weight. The compression suggests a mass well over 300 kilograms, yet the subject maintains balance through subtle arm adjustments. The motion indicates exceptional proprioception, body awareness rarely seen in animals of such size. Fur ripples with each movement. Rather than erratic jumping, the behavior appears exploratory, as if testing the structure's response. Researchers suggest curiosity toward unfamiliar human objects rather than fear or playfulness. The implication is unsettling. Testing implies learning, and learning implies intent. Why evaluate our structures unless understanding their limits serves a purpose? Near dawn, a backyard trail camera captures its final sequence of the night. A chained dog fixates on movement beyond the fence line, body rigid. A large figure passes laterally through the frame. The dog freezes completely. No barking, no lunging, no sound. The figure stands at least 2.6 meters tall, shoulders wide, arms hanging low. Dark fur absorbs most available light, while the eyes reflect faintly under infrared. Witnesses later report a powerful odor lingering in the area, described as wet animal mixed with rotting wood. The dog's reaction, or lack of one, disturbs researchers. Trained to defend territory, the animal instead exhibits submission or suppression of instinct. This suggests a presence so dominant it overrides learned behavior, possibly linked to scent cues. If even dogs refuse to challenge it, its position in the local hierarchy may be far above what humans expect. Just before dawn, a stationary trail camera deep inside managed forest land activates where deer paths weave between old-growth trunks. The infrared feed flickers to life. A bulky form moves smoothly between the trees. Long arms swing low, barely disturbing surrounding brush. For a split second, orange eyeshine flares toward the lens. The figure is estimated between 2.4 and 2.9 meters tall, shoulders at least 50% broader than a human's. Thick, dark fur hangs clumped, as if soaked by overnight rain. Gray-brown skin is visible at the wrists and face. Despite its size, the movement is fast and nearly silent. Researchers note the gait suggests a skeletal system built to absorb impact, heavy like a bison, yet stepping softly like a stalking cat. Its path cuts directly through known game trails, raising a difficult question. Was it tracking prey, or quietly monitoring the movement of everything else? At 3:21 a.m., a high-resolution night trail camera records an interaction that defies expectation in a remote forest clearing. A massive figure kneels beside a deer. Large hands steady the animal. There is no visible struggle, no attempt to flee. Even while crouched, the being stands well over 2.5 meters tall when upright. Arms extend past the knees, shoulders immense. Thick, matted fur absorbs much of the infrared glow. Audio captures a faint sound, breathing blended with low wind. What unsettles researchers most is the calm. Predator and prey remain still together, contradicting known biological responses. Some suggest chemical signaling or a form of dominance that does not rely on violence. Others raise the possibility of non-traditional feeding behavior or restraint guided by intelligence. If fear never triggered, something other than force was clearly in control. Shortly after 2:47 a.m., a green-tinted night vision camera activates repeatedly in the same forest corridor. Each alert reveals the same figure returning to a single spot. A large form bends forward in a wide stance. Dark fluid splashes against nearby leaves. The camera records steadily until the audio abruptly cuts out. The posture, low center of gravity, legs spread, suggests powerful hips and a reinforced spine built for lifting and tearing. Fur absorbs most reflected light. As the head lifts, the eyes glow briefly red before fading. Researchers interpret the behavior as feeding or scavenging rather than frenzy, Comparisons to Wendigo lore arise only because of the solitary feeding posture, not madness or excess. This appears biological, not mythical. The footage raises a provocative idea. Perhaps the legend came later, created to explain a behavior humans once witnessed but could not understand. Late at night on a narrow logging road, a helmet-mounted action camera records as a vehicle slows unexpectedly. Dust hangs in the air, illuminated by headlights. A massive form stands directly in the beam. Eyes reflect a dull orange glow through the haze. Moments later, the engine stalls. The figure fills the width of the road, at least 2.5 meters tall. Arms hang low, fingers long and loosely curled. Thick, dark hair carries a damp sheen. A low sound emanates, described as part breath, part growl, part wind through leaves. Notably, the creature neither charges nor retreats. It simply watches. Researchers suggest this behavior implies familiarity with vehicles, possibly an understanding that light and noise do not equal immediate danger. The standoff raises a subtle reversal. When the road was blocked without fear, it was unclear which party held the right of way. Near midnight, a fixed camera aimed at a crude woodland shelter records sudden movement. The structure was never meant for heavy contact. A towering back fills the frame. Wood bends under pressure. The shelter creaks but does not collapse. The figure stands close to 3 meters tall. Shoulders resemble an industrial wall. Arms are long and muscular. Beneath sparse fur, skin reflects gray under infrared. Rather than tearing the structure apart, the being lifts sections, peers inside, then lowers them carefully. The inspection appears methodical, not destructive. Researchers describe it as curiosity rather than aggression, as if evaluating the shelter without intent to use it. This behavior supports theories of advanced spatial reasoning and deliberate avoidance of human-made structures. If it understands what shelters are, the decision not to occupy them may be intentional rather than accidental. At 11:48 p.m., a trail camera positioned along a fern-lined slope captures rapid movement in sequence. One large figure passes through the frame. Seconds later, a smaller one follows the same path. Both disappear without sound. The adult's stride is long and fluid. The juvenile mirrors the movement despite shorter legs, arms proportionally long. Dark, damp fur absorbs light, and eyes briefly reflect red-orange before vanishing into vegetation. Researchers note the synchronization suggests learned locomotion rather than instinct alone. The pairing recalls orang pendek field notes only in structure, close follow behavior, and proportional similarity. But the scale here is vastly larger. The implication is shared survival strategies emerging independently across continents. If this was a form of training, it suggests such learning begins early, long before humans ever notice. In early afternoon, a hiker filming deep within mixed woodland captures movement just as something realizes it is being observed. A dark figure pivots sharply between tree trunks. One step covers a distance that appears physically impossible. Then the forest empties. The subject is estimated around 2.3 meters tall, fur dense and dark, arms long, torso thick. The movement is neither clumsy nor panicked. Instead, it resembles a predator breaking cover with precision and control. What follows is more disturbing than speed. There is no crashing retreat, no snapping branches, no audible escape. The disappearance is total and immediate, suggesting practiced evasion rather than instinctive flight. Analysts argue this indicates an animal that understands lines of sight and reaction time. If it vanished that cleanly, it raises an uncomfortable thought. Perhaps visibility is not accidental, but allowed, rarely and briefly. On a wooded slope overlooking a small Oregon town, a handheld phone records an unexpected sight, a massive figure moving downhill in open view. The silhouette is unmistakable, broad shoulders sway like hanging doors. The footage remains steady, and there is no sign of fear or hesitation. The being stands near 2.6 meters tall. Thick, dark fur covers most of the body. Arms swing past the knees, head angled slightly forward. Its pace is calm, unhurried, directed toward human structures below. Researchers note the descent mirrors historic Wendigo travel accounts, not in frenzy or hunger, but in route choice. Ancient path usage passed down through generations now intersects with modern roads and towns. The footage suggests continuity rather than coincidence. If legends followed these routes centuries ago, the presence of something still using them challenges the idea that such stories belong only to the past. During a late winter wildlife census, a private rancher scans a frozen meadow at dusk using a long lens camera. The landscape appears empty until motion slowly resolves into form. 3 dark figures move across the field. One is enormous, flanked by 2 smaller shapes. The distance is extreme, yet their silhouettes are clear enough to stop the footage cold. The tallest approaches 3 meters in height, shoulders impossibly broad. The 2 smaller figures mirror its gait and arm length, suggesting shared anatomy rather than coincidence. Their hair hangs heavy and dark despite the dry, frozen ground. When they turn, faint orange-red eye reflections appear. The spacing between them implies coordination, even familiarity. Researchers note this hints at a social unit, possibly a breeding population. Comparisons to Orang Pendek folklore arise only because of the group structure, though the scale here exceeds anything recorded in Southeast Asia. If this was a family, it was unlikely the only one. What these recordings leave behind is not proof, but pressure. The quiet weight of unanswered questions pressing against everything we think we know. Across forests, roads, backyards, and camera lenses, the same patterns repeat. Size without chaos, power without panic, presence without pursuit. Whatever moves through these places does not behave like a monster, nor like an animal driven by instinct alone. It behaves like something aware, choosing when to be seen, when to withdraw, and when to watch. Perhaps the greatest discomfort comes not from fear, but from recognition, that humanity may not be alone at the top of the hierarchy we assumed was ours. These moments suggest coexistence, not conquest, a long, silent parallel history unfolding just beyond our attention. If these stories made you pause, question, or look twice at the tree line, you're not alone. Like the video, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Mystery Footage Uncovered, because the truth rarely announces itself. It waits to be noticed.